I'm not meant to be telling women about women's bodies, but your bloody geyser doesn't turn you into a husky. You are a werewolf. And that's not fine, actually. So either get that checked out, or I'm buying a silver bullet.
Yeah, I don't know if you like me. Sometimes I think you might hate me. Sometimes I think I might hate you.
Hello everybody, today we're going to be talking about two eerily similar movies, these being Jennifer's Body and Ginger Snaps. I'm going to be doing full recaps on both movies inside of this video, with Jennifer's Body being the first and Ginger Snaps being the second. And in addition to these recaps, I'm going to be pointing out the similarities between these two productions towards the end of the video, so please stay for the full show. Also, quick warning guys, when talking about Jennifer's Body, I will be discussing how it is a metaphor for SA, so if you're sensitive to those subjects, please skip to this point, because that's when I start talking about Ginger Snaps, and that movie is focused on the beautiful world that is puberty. So anyways, back to the video. So with that out of the way guys, let's talk about Jennifer's Body. Jennifer's Body opens up with our protagonist, Karen from Mean Girls, who in this universe is known as Needy, living it up behind bars. Yes, our girl is in prison. And though she seems pretty normcore, she does have the temperament of a roided out misogynist gym bro. But she admits that she only got this way after the killings began. And cut to 1 month ago, and we do discover that this movie takes place in a town known as the Devil's Kettle. Though the name does sound like a cunty little lesbian bar, it actually refers to the mystical magical waterfall which funnels into an endless whirlpool. We have no idea where this whirlpool goes. We may find out later, but all I know is that this is giving Gravity Falls. And moving back to 2 months ago, and we get to meet Jennifer, Needy's popular best friend.
There's Jennifer. Only back then we were tight. Sisters practically.
And during this introduction, a fellow student makes fun of Needy for giving Jennifer the gay stare.
Gay? Girl, don't play.
Girl, what are you talking about? You look just as gay as Needy. In fact, you look as though you read Yuri on the down low. And that's fine, but what are you doing throwing stones from a glass house? Which, let's be honest, there's something gay happening here. Doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to be bad. And I know that every woman I know who has ever had a tinge of bisexuality located in their blood has had a formative homoerotic friendship that actually destroyed their lives far more than a straight man ever could. Because let's be real, women are better than men.
You know how amazing it would be if you and I were totally gay and into each other?
And Jennifer does proceed to invite Needy to an indie boy band concert, which is like getting an invitation to the 9th level of hell, especially if you haven't acclimated yourself to the dark-sided energies of indie men. And I can say that because 2 of my siblings are in indie boy bands. And Needy immediately accepts this invitation to hell because she wants to impress her sapphic crush, which does end up pissing off her boyfriend because he doesn't like the amount of control that Jennifer has over her. And I can't blame Needy's boyfriend Chip for not liking Jennifer, because look at the way that Jennifer treats Needy. It's not beautiful. Is it, guys? Cut to the concert, and it's being hosted at this tavern filled with average white men who probably have beef with their wife's sex toys. Sorry, someone needed to say it. Y'all look scary. And one of these white guys used to be revered far and wide, but has since fallen from grace. This being Chris Pratt, a cop in training who is currently perving on Jennifer. Aww. The high schooler. Yeah, typical white boy police officer activities. I know what you are. You're a pervert. And regardless, we get to see the Sheehan version of Panic at the Disco perform, with Adam Brody leading the group, and Jennifer is absolutely starstruck by these absolute little freaks. However, it is quickly revealed that the band is only interested in Jennifer because she's a virgin, which couldn't really be further from the truth. And I don't want to say too much about her lifestyle, but she's not even a backdoor virgin. Like, the girl needs to slow down and maybe pledge herself to celibacy for the next couple years. But we do get the sense that even though Jennifer is focused on the boys, she still has a thing for her girl, because they hold hands while the pedos sing. Just play Chapel Roan at this point.
Are you a lesbian?
A lesbian?
Yes!
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Awesome!
And luckily this performance doesn't last too long, because the song triggers a Final Destination level disaster by causing the building to catch on fire. And luckily Needy is giving The Giver by Chapel Rogan, so she decides to pick up Jennifer and jump out the bathroom window. And to recover from this trauma, Jennifer decides to go on a road trip with the perverted 5 Seconds of Summer band against the better wishes of Needy. Jennifer. And now I'm gonna be real and say that this shot of Jennifer giving Needy one last look is genuinely so heartbreaking. The filmmakers behind this movie knew exactly what they were doing when they were creating a actually pretty solid metaphor for SA, because it's hard to do that, especially in a movie that's largely a comedy. Just had to go on a little bit of a tangent right there because this movie is really good. And I guess now we're gonna go back into the recap. And once Needy gets home, she calls her boyfriend, who brushes over Jennifer being kidnapped because a bar full of people did just get absolutely decimated. However, this call is immediately interrupted by Needy being jump scared by Jennifer the killer, Jane the killer's twin sister. Jennifer. Dumbass joke from 2010. And after that jump scare, Jennifer does proceed to eat a full rotisserie chicken, scream bloody murder, and vomit up black goo similar to the black goo monster in Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed.
Got that at Boston Market and
Jennifer, what's going on? I'm familiar with periods, and this doesn't look like a period. What happened, girl? And now I do want to dip back into my serious persona because this scene does deal with the serious topic of SA. It's the entire concept of the movie, so we're gonna keep on coming back to this a little bit. Okay, guys? This is the first we get to see of Jennifer after the kidnapping, and though we don't know what happened yet, it can be highly inferred that she was assaulted. So her showing up to Needy's place first shows that Jennifer trusts Needy's opinion above all, and she refuses to come clean about what happened to Needy, thus leading to Needy wanting to call the cops and Jennifer not wanting to call the cops, which is a parallel to many victims not wanting to call the cops immediately due to the fear of them not being believed or not wanting to cause any issues for the assailant. Along with that, Jennifer comes close to hurting Needy, which shows us the darker side of becoming a victim. She immediately wants to take out her anger on her best friend. She realizes that she doesn't want to do it to Needy because she likes Needy too much, and the people that attacked her were men. So the release from hurting Needy would be far more different than the release of hurting a man. Anyways, with that, I guess we're gonna move back to the recap. Cut to the next day at school and we get to see Needy recalling a memory of her and Jennifer as children before any of this shit went down. And we see that Jennifer cuts her finger, which I hypothesized was Jennifer and Needy becoming blood sisters, which will in turn become a supernatural connection, which you will see later on in this movie, because, oh boy, do they have some supernatural spiritual connection. Regardless, Jennifer does end up showing up to school looking like a Victoria's Secret model where she gaslights Needy into believing that last night wasn't so bad. In fact, it's weird that Needy even thought that vomiting out black blood diarrhea is bad for you. It's the new thing. It's the new fad. What are you talking about? That's good for you, girl. You should be doing that. And if you're not doing that, you're a freak, according to Jennifer. And then a bomb the size of J.K. Simmons drops into the classroom because he is the professor of the class, and he breaks the news that 8 students and a teacher died in the burning of the bar the other night. Along with that, he also reveals that the foreign exchange Indian student Ahmed did end up passing in the fire. This is going to create an international tragedy boner for the Devil's Kettle, isn't it? Oh, and also Jennifer's not sympathetic about the fire in any way, shape, or form. She decides to test out her stand-up comedy skills while the teacher talks about the small-town Titanic disaster they just had. Clearly, Jennifer is just deflecting, but you were the only one who had something bad happen to. That's 8 confirmed kills. That's Octodad level homicide. It's not great. And cut to Needy being gaslit a second time, this time by her boyfriend, because he's saying that Jennifer's vomit was probably black due to her inhaling a lot of smoke.
Whatever that means.
Girl, where did you get your medical degree from? Facebook? Black goo vomited out of your mouth because you inhaled a lot of smoke? Shut the f up. And after whatever that was, we meet the boyfriend from Smile. Yes, we get to meet Kyle, who admits that he's glad Needy didn't die. And remember, that young little emo boy, because that sweet little boy will be on your screen once again. And cut to Jennifer in my own personal hell, a conversation with a football jock. And now this jock was best friends with one of the victims from the tragedy, and Jennifer decides to confide in him about how one of his best friend's last wishes was for Jennifer and him to bang. Like, not even Jennifer and the victim to bang, Jennifer and the best friend to bang. Interesting request from the afterlife, but he agrees. And they go into the middle of the woods, and just as they're about to bang, she kills him. However, while this killing does end up taking place, J.K. Simmons sits there and hears the scream, and his only response is, "Let it all out, kids." But Simmons does end up moving forward with checking out the Scream Queen and discovers that the jock has been turned into a human charcuterie board for the cast of Snow White. This is what happens when you want to have sex as a high schooler. You die. And so after this bean-flickingly good time, Jennifer decides to call Needy to brag about her sex life being so good that she has had the best day since Jesus invented the calendar. Which Needy could really care less, because why is her friend going out having sex all day every day while there have been 9 bodies buried from their high school. That's kind of a boner killer for me and for the vast majority of the entire town. But even though the whole world seems to be horny for this tragedy, Jennifer is back looking extremely greasy. So it's looking as though another teenager is gonna die. Also, the knockoff Fall Out Boy has in fact released their song about the tragedy at Melody Lane, and they will be donating 3% of the benefits to the families hurt by the fire.
What about the other 97%? I mean, that's just crass, right?
That's actually not that much. They're almost as bad as Elon Musk. And after this, Kyle decides to ask out Jennifer to see a movie, which she rejects, but then she 180s when Needy expresses interest in this little emo boy. And instead, Jennifer proposes that they blockbuster and chill while watching a horny fish mermaid sex tape. And now as the girls prepare for their respective nights, Needy gets ready to do it with her wimpy soy boy boyfriend, and Jennifer leads her scene teen hookup to this vivarium-esque suburban hellscape, but alas, that young man is desperate for some Jennifer, and he enters the suburban home. And once inside the home, Jennifer greets him by immediately trying to give him a certain type of a job? But his attempt to care for Jennifer is immediately shut down by Jennifer when she decides to munch on him, which somehow activates Needy's psychic powers in that very moment, and she sees her ceiling getting its period. And later that night, Needy ends up throwing out her boyfriend from the period room, and she is jump scared by Jennifer throwing a surprise slumber party in her bedroom.
Hi. Hi, Needy, enough with the screaming. You're such a cliche.
Can I say that's pretty gay? Yeah. And then they kiss. Gay. And this time, Needy is kinda into it.
I'm homosexual.
Gay. Jennifer does end up confessing that the group of demon twinks sent from a Spencer's in Portland, Oregon did in fact sacrifice her non-virgin soul to the devil in hopes of graduating from being evil male manipulator baristas to the demonic version of Maroon 5, which I would argue is already fairly demonic, so I don't know how much more demonic you can already get from that. But they did it.
Do you know how hard it is to make it as an indie band these days?
And the sacrifice begins with them reading some devil worshipper fanfiction from their I Love Being Emo subreddit, which culminates in them turning Jennifer's body into a Benihana, then throwing the murder weapon into the whirlpool, and leaving Jennifer dead in the middle of the woods. And now this scene is genuinely pretty horrifying though, with the boys being so blasé about violence against women, and Megan Fox doing an actually amazing job with this performance. Like, I genuinely do believe that this is her peak performance. She ate this role up. And once Jennifer ends up waking up, she stumbles towards the first person she knew would actually help her bi-curious bestie, Needy. However, on her way over, she does end up crossing paths with Ahmed, the foreign exchange student they saw in the burning bar, who Jennifer does proceed to eat.
You come with me. We're gonna sort all this out.
Which in reality shows her accepting her hunger as a demon, but metaphorically, it shows us that she is attempting to regain her agency after the assault because she's fully going after the first man that she sees. And cut to Kyle's funeral, where we see the aftermath of Jennifer's hobbies.
I belong down there, in the darkness.
No, Kevin. Those are just his earthly remains.
Which further nukes the vibe when Kyle's mom drops a truth bomb about her grief.
You can take your pain. You can shove it up your asses, kids. I got the monopoly on pain.
She's pregnant with something, and that's the truth. And y'all are scared of it. And I do fear that this little lady ate you self-centered teens up harder than Jennifer ever could. Y'all suck. Y'all tried to ambush her at her wedding and make it about you and your little emo vibe. I get it. Being emo is fun. But girl, time or place. This is a funeral. And this truth nuke does end up leading to Needy doing some paranormal research, much like Bella when she started questioning if her Redditor BF was a vampire. Only this time, Needy comes to the conclusion that Jennifer is a succubus and can only be put to rest if she has a stake go right through her heart. Needy is looking as though you're going to be the one who has to do that. And with this knowledge, Needy tries to convince her boyfriend to not attend the upcoming dance and breaks up with him in hopes of getting him to stay home alone while Jennifer snatches boys off the street left and right. It's a pretty good plan, Needy, but I think you're gonna have to do more than just break up with him. I think you're gonna need to put him in prison because that man is fiending for that dance floor. And cut to the night of the party, and Needy is staking out Jennifer at the dance floor in full chaperone 80s drag. Honestly, this is a fit. This is Drag Race level material right there. Actually, no, this is season 1 Drag Race level material. This fully looks like it's being kept up by paper clips and tape.
A drag queen.
And then we cut to Chip, obviously hiking towards the dance floor, and Jennifer is looking a little extra thirsty for boys with blood as she follows Chip to the dance. Needy, We both knew that you weren't going to be able to accomplish that goal of getting your boyfriend to stay inside because that man is a whore for the dance floor. And once Jennifer catches Chip's eye and convinces him that Needy cheated on him with Kyle, which is half true because Needy did in fact cheat on Chip, but she didn't cheat on Chip with a man. She cheated on Chip with Jennifer.
Needy and Colin were intimate.
Which is gay, and I don't think that counts because she was exploring her sexuality. What, you don't want a lesbian to find her true self? That sounds pretty lesbophobic right there. But with this stellar explanation, Jennifer kisses Chip. Jennifer, you need to figure out if you want to be Needy or if you want to be with Needy, because this is getting out of hand. It's starting to piss me off. And Needy finally gets a sense that Chip got swept up by Jennifer, so she searches for them and finds Jennifer chewing Chip's neck in an abandoned pool filled with what I can only assume to be E. coli and raccoon jizz.
It's getting weird.
I'm not happy with that sentence either, but it's probably the truth. Have you seen that pool? And once there, Needy pulls a gender swap Cinderella and fights her homoerotic boy killer bestie. And that's beautiful. And the fight eventually comes to an end when Needy stabs Jennifer through the chest with a pool cleaner. But she does end up surviving and she hops on out of the building with a bleeding hole inside of her stomach, and Needy watches her boyfriend die. Guys, I'm gonna be vulnerable here. Why did this low-key hit me? I didn't even like Chip. I had no reason to like him. He gaslit Needy anytime she was on screen. And somehow in this scene, I felt something for him. And let's cut back to the first shot of the movie where we see that Jennifer is bed-rotting, which is then interrupted by Needy breaking into her room, holding her masculine-coded weapon, a Home Depot box cutter.
God, you're butch.
My girl is butch. But Needy does end up stabbing Jennifer through the heart after breaking off her BFF necklace right as Jennifer's mom walks into her bedroom. I guess I'll go. Y'all can deal with this situation. And side note, Needy was in fact bit by Megan, and when you get bit by a demon, you do gain a little bit of its powers. So Needy has gained some of Jennifer's superpowers and breaks out of prison. Yeah. And now I do feel as though this scene was meant to be symbolic of Needy breaking off a relationship with Jennifer due to the relationship being volatile. And the transference of demonic powers symbolizes Needy always carrying some level of Jennifer with her. Whether that's her trauma or her love, I am completely unsure, but what I am sure of is that they better explore this in the next movie that will be coming out in the next decade, I think. I know that they have a movie confirmed, quote unquote, but I have no clue what the plot's gonna be. But she better be seeing visions of Jennifer, much like Shauna when she was seeing visions of Jackie. Okay, you better haunt that narrative, Megan Fox. You better do your thing. Because if she's not in this movie, what is Jennifer's Body Part 2 gonna be without Jennifer? What? And once out of prison, Needy finds a knife used to turn Jennifer into a McDonald's fish fillet in a stream connected to the whirlpool. And with the knife in hand, Needy decides to hitchhike all the way to Madison, Wisconsin to watch the demonic One Direction's last concert. Finally, kill those boys. For me, here we get a compilation of the crime scene photos detailing the band's corny-ass Fleetwood Mac cosplay. And turns out, guys, Needy was able to kill each and every single one of those band members, leaving the leader of the band with the knife that he used to kill Jennifer right in the middle of his heart. However, guys, we do end up discovering that a cop got a single strand of Needy's blonde hair and footage of her walking out of the hotel room. So if this girl goes to prison a second time, I'm gonna light this building on fire. Because Needy has had a hard enough life as it is. She was a part of a massive tragedy in a small town. She watched her boyfriend die in her arms. She had to kill her best friend / girlfriend, and on top of that, she was sent to prison already. Hate to say it, guys, but we don't need to be putting this murderer in prison. I think this murderer is fine. Also, does this mean that Jennifer's Body 2 will be about Needy on the run? Because if so, I'm sad. Also, if you guys need an actor or an extra, please message me. I need to be in this movie. I have been acting for a couple years now. I've taken many acting classes, and I've been in a couple movies and TV shows. I have a repertoire that would impress people who have never been in a movie, but probably not people who have been in movies, but trust and believe, I will do anything. And now let's move on to JB's sister movie, Ginger Snaps, which was released October 23rd, 2001. And this movie was surprisingly very forward-thinking with the way that it was able to portray high school girls. And so without further ado, everybody, here is one of my favorite movies, Ginger Snaps. I love this movie so much. We open up in the suburban hellscape known as Bailey Downs with the average Karen catching her child playing with her dead dog's paw. That's gonna happen a bit. That's gonna happen a lot. Trigger warning. This movie has an oddly large amount of dog murder, so, be aware. If you don't want to think about a dog ever being murdered, do not watch this movie. And maybe skip until like the last 5 minutes of this video because oh, we're going to talk about dogs dying left and right. And right as we discover the dog's corpse, we get to meet the apathetic Tumblr teen, Bridget, who relays the dog information over to her chaperone lookalike sister, Ginger. Also, I only realized while writing the script that this movie is named Ginger Snaps because Ginger snaps. Yeah, this genuinely blew my mind. It felt like my brain grew in that moment. I literally felt like a straight man's brain developing empathy on shrooms. And now these sisters are best friends, which is really cute until you realize that they've gotten so close that they've created a suicide pact. What? And in this pact, they agree to ship themselves off of planet Earth by 16 if they don't leave their hometown. Now, I'm not gonna lie, girls. Felt the same when I was in high school because that cushy, safe life in the suburbs just really isn't for the weak. Anyways, cut to this iconic shot of Ginger laying on a fence, and low-key, I might do this for Halloween. I mean, I haven't served on Halloween in years, and maybe I need to re-enter the scene with an absolute massacre of a photo shoot. And now this photo of Ginger impaled by a fence was one of a collection of death fantasies which her and her sister submitted for a school project, which as a teen who went to art school, this would have tickled my brain so hard I would have been like, wow, y'all, your mind. But now that my frontal lobe has developed, I would have been just as dumbfounded as the professor because...
Hey guys, get ready with me to go.
Do I really want to see a teenager being impaled by a fence? And cut to Ginger and Bridget making fun of the popular girls at school, which ends up backfiring when they have to play field hockey as the boys perv on them, which results in Bridget getting slammed into another dog corpse by the popular girl. Now I have a little bit of a query. How the f did they not see that dog corpse in the middle of an open field? What are we talking about? You had the teacher go out and say, hey guys, I know there's a dead body in the middle of the field hockey field, but you know what? Let's just play a game. Just don't throw anyone into the corpse. Anyways, cut to the girls at home prepping to get revenge on the popular girl when Ginger begins to experience symptoms of what some may call a period. Oh. But Ginger insists that she's not on her period, and the girls end up sneaking out in the middle of the night to enact their revenge. At least she's committed. And this plan does end up unraveling when they find another dead dog in the middle of the woods, which coincidentally leads to Ginger getting her period, which this attracts more than just teenage angst. It attracts a creature, which drags Ginger into the middle of the woods.
Let's get out of here.
Now Bridget is in fact able to hit the creature with her camera, letting the two girls escape as the creature gets hit by a local drug dealer's car, thus exploding on impact. Which is a good thing, I guess. But now you've got an Oppenheimer level of blood all over your local drug dealer's car. So now you've got another witness. Diva, you gotta figure this out. And once home, they check Ginger's wounds and turns out they're fully healed. Interesting. We also see that Bridget's camera took a picture of the creature and it's looking a little bit like one of those ugly ass hairless dogs, otherwise known as the average British person. And I can say that because I am British and I look it. And now after this attack, Ginger gets a little edge to her and decides to hang out with the cool kids, kicking her sister to the side as she explores her sexuality, much like Jennifer using her sexuality to deal with the trauma, only this time she's not just dealing with trauma, she's also dealing with puberty. And while Ginger is off having fun, the drug dealer talks to Bridget about what he hit with his car, which she brings up the theory that it could have been a werewolf.
Think you see werewolves a lot?
But we don't really get much more information after that because these two divas are not really good at investigative journalism. They kind of suck. And with her growing suspicion, Bridget decides to corner her sister, and we see that Ginger's scars from before are now growing dog fur. Our girl over here is becoming a furry flesh suit. But even with all this werewolf evidence, Ginger decides to blame this transformation on her period. Look, I understand. I'm not meant to be telling women about women's bodies, but your bloody geyser doesn't turn you into a husky. You are a werewolf. And that's not fine, actually. So either get that checked out, or I'm buying a silver bullet. And now I do understand that this transformation is meant to be a metaphor for puberty, because she's beginning to grow hair all over, she's beginning to grow a taste for boys, and she is in fact getting her period. And that's beautiful.
I
I can't have a hairy chest, B. That's fucked.
And as the next few days pass, Bridget begins to research her sister's diagnosis, much like Needy researching Jennifer, but on top of reading some ancient texts about werewolves, she decides to watch some werewolf romances, which Bridget, let's be real, that's pretty problematic because that is straight up misinformation about the werewolf community. And while Ginger is off getting attention from high school boys, Bridget is getting attention from the drug dealer. Not in that way, guys. I know exactly what you're thinking. He's trying to talk to her about the werewolf which he exploded in his pervert mobile. And I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty good reason to talk to a high schooler. But before they can really make a plan of action, he scares Bridget off when he mentions that the creature had a human circumcised dong.
Where's my foreskin?
A human penis. Why? Why would you? Now you're scaring her off. Now you're looking like a freak. How were you able to identify the current status of the werewolf's penis after the entire thing had been exploded? And why were you looking that far into it? However, this does end up confirming that the werewolf was most likely human because only humans would ever create a procedure like circumcision and make it normal. Later that night though, Bridget decides it's time she takes another look at her sister's progress and she discovers that she is growing a goddamn tail. And due to the situation worsening, Bridget decides to go to the drug dealer for help, but lies to the drug dealer and says she is the one becoming the werewolf. And along with that, she says that she needs him to shoot her with a gun. Or like make a cure, I guess. And his first solution is to use pure metal, so Bridget gives her sister a belly button piercing. Only after Ginger admits that she went to Lover's Lane with the popular boy, and instead of craving him spiritually, she craved him hungrily. So obviously she decides to munch on his box in like a cannibalism kind of way. Ginger, what? Guys, is it kind of bad that some of my favorite pieces of media include cannibalism? Am I the bad guy? Am I weird? However, once Ginger gets home for the belly button piercing, she reveals that she didn't actually kill the school pervert. Instead, she ate the neighbor's dog, which I'm not really sure if that's any better, Ginger, if I'm being honest. We also do find out that the boy that Ginger ended up sleeping with is currently on his period. No, like actually his nether region is bleeding, which highlights the fact that this disease isn't just transmitted through blood, but it's also an STD. So yet again, guys, this is the reason why teenagers shouldn't be having sex. You're gonna get moody and you're gonna want to eat your dog. And this movie honestly would have taught me a lot more about human biology than the American school system ever did, especially the Southern school system. I'm looking at you, North Florida. And with the growing pandemic of this STD, the girls go to the dealer's greenhouse, who has created a serum which could cure this disease, but they do have a big problem. They do have to get this flower called monkshood, and that flower is only in bloom in springtime, and currently it's fall. So, looks like you're gonna die, Ginger, because you got your period. And cut to Ginger and Bridget having a fight with the popular girl, who ultimately results in homicide due to Regina George slipping on milk. You guys, I don't even know how to help you. You've killed a dog and you've killed a teenage girl. What now? And with the mess that comes with having a dead teenage girl in your kitchen, Bridget and Ginger decide to bury the body in their backyard smoke shack. And once the body's inside of the ground, they make the plan that Ginger has to lay low until the tragedy boner for popular girl number 3 has shrunk down to a tragedy chode so they can run away without the cops ever noticing them. However, the girls do make the mistake of chipping off one of the girl's fingers and leaving it in the backyard for anyone to find. I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, guys. Y'all are two of the dumbest wannabe murderers. And while at school, the infected little boy decides to confront Bridget about his transformation, which has led to him growing canine teeth, bad acne, and a tail. Also, he does admit that he's been killing dogs for fun now. Sorry, dude, but there's no cure for that.
And I think you know why. What's going on here?
Whoa, dude, puberty's crazy, man. I didn't know puberty made boys kill dogs. And I didn't know puberty also made boys have periods. And cut to Bridget arriving home where she sees that her mom has purchased some monkshood. So it's looking as though they might be able to cure Ginger. So Bridget locks Ginger inside of the bathroom while she goes to the dealer's place to create the cure. However, the dealer does admit that he isn't sure if the cure will work, but it's kind of like their only option, so they make the potion anyways. And this scene perfectly encapsulates how I felt as a kid making potions and then making my sister drink them. I am so sorry, Alex, for making you drink a dirty espresso with mulch, Yahoo milk, and a dash of lemonade. You liked it though. You were 5. And I was 7. But I tried. The dealer also admits that he knows that the cure is for Ginger and that this could actually end up killing her, which isn't too bad because on the flip side, she becomes a full-time furry human hybrid ready to be paraded around the carnival. I hate to say it, but that does not sound like the perfect life. And with the cure in hand, Bridget comes home to see that Ginger has escaped and is now at the school getting ready for the party at the dealer's place later that night. Ginger, I would kill to be home all day, and yet you're throwing it away like that? Get on your ass. Get on your ass, sit on that bed. And while on her way to cure her sister, Bridget is jump scared by the STD-ridden wolf boy who she decides to waste the cure on, which I guess it's a good thing that we figure out that the cure actually works on him. But Bridget, let's just pause for a little bit of a second because you just wasted the one and only cure you had on white boy number 3 when white girl number 1 is in dire need of help. Yeah, white girl number 1, your sister, Ginger, is looking like a Sasquatch in drag. And she is serving, but she's about to sashay her way into death. So let's figure this out and get her a cure, because otherwise we're gonna have to kill her with a silver bullet, or we're gonna have to blow her up with the car again.
Holiday. Oh my.
Like, it is nice to know that you really can do anything with the help of a drug dealer and a Tumblr teen obsessed with death. Bridget does end up continuing on to school, even though she used her cure on the furry boy and left the backup cure at her home. And once at school, she finds her sister sitting with her trophy that is the dismembered corpse of the guidance counselor. And after we do see the corpse though, Bridget does end up leaving Ginger to get cleaning supplies for the body, but once back she sees that Ginger has killed again. This time she has killed the janitor. And she leaves Bridget to clean up the body as she goes and prepares for the greenhouse party. And while this is happening though, the mother finds the popular girl's finger and digs up the girl's dead body in the backyard smoke shack. And cut to the mom finding Bridget walking to the greenhouse party, and she picks her up in her mom van.
Get in the van.
You're gonna get your ass banged. But instead of ratting her daughter out to the cops, the mom presents a plan. She's going to burn down the house and restart their life with Bridget and Ginger minus the father, because she would be blamed for creating 2 murderous children due to society always blaming the mother. On top of that, she knows that the father will be fine because he's a man and men don't get blamed. I've never heard someone be so right. And it's genuinely insane that this movie came out in 2001 and it still stands as a pretty good depiction of women getting blamed for everything. That is more feminism than Barbie could ever muster up. And after that, Bridget goes into the party and finds her sister and the dealer, who all decide to get inside of the pervert mobile and drive back to Ginger's home so they can get the last cure and heal Ginger for good. And then they'll go on the cross-country road trip with their mother.
Awesome!
This is it, guys. The 2 emo daughters are about to maximize their joint slay with their mother, who was sent from Whoville to create a group of traveling killer feminists. And that, everybody, is exactly what 2025 is missing. But while on the drive home, Ginger does end up going through the full transformation, and this is where the movie gets really dark. Like, really dark and sad. And I'm gonna try my hardest to keep the vibes up, but this is gonna be a hard one, guys. I'm going to bust a duct while talking about this probably, and that's fine. And Ginger's full transformation makes her look like one of those Appalachian creatures TikTok obsesses over. So she's not exactly looking too great right now. She's looking a little bit inhuman, a little bit paranormal, and a little bit, how you say, disgusting. But once they arrive at the house, she immediately escapes into the basement of the home. We lost Ginger. And while inside of the house, we do see that the dealer gets killed by Ginger, and we don't see this happen, but the sound design of that murder, it was ASMR to my ears. But while this chaos ends up happening, Bridget is able to grab the cure and heads downstairs to her sister, who is sitting next to the dealer's corpse. And in hopes of accepting her sister's new form, she tries to drink the blood of the dealer. And she realizes that this all-you-can-eat buffet isn't really for her, and she's not exactly the biggest fan of cannibalism. So she injects her sister with the cure, and instead of curing her, you guessed it, guys, it kills Ginger. Shit. So now we've got 2 confirmed kills inside of the Bridget home. Actually 3 if you count popular girl number 3. So yeah, 3 confirmed kills in the home. And this scene is genuinely so sad, which I know is insane to say because Ginger is in this full substance level transformation and Bridget fully had to kill her. But like, they were so cute together before. Like, literally they were doing art projects of them doing suicide together. They were best friends. And she had to kill her sister. All because this werewolf came in and accelerated her sister's puberty and made her have her period. And the movie ends with Bridget just hugging her sister as she dies, and we get a slow zoom out shot similar to the end of Mysterious Skin, which is another movie that destroyed me. I genuinely think Ginger Snaps is so good, and it's a fun movie for the first 70% of the movie, and then it just gets downright depressing. And now these two movies are great movies which have their own fresh takes on womanhood while focusing on the intense relationship between two female friends and how this is affected by trauma. However, the trauma in Jennifer's Body comes from a sexual assault and the continued objectification of her body as a young woman, while Ginger Snaps focuses on Ginger grappling with the effects of puberty as a young girl. Very different concepts at the heart of it, but there are a lot of similarities in the way that the stories move beyond that, and I wanted to discuss those. But with these movies having such similar concepts at their core, they do run into the issue of having strong similarities, and Jennifer's Body is often accused of plagiarizing Ginger Snaps due to Ginger Snaps coming out in 2001 and Jennifer's Body coming out in 2009, so it seems as though there is probably a high chance that someone on the creative team of Jennifer's Body did in fact watch Ginger Snaps when they were making this movie. And now the similarities go as follows. Jennifer and Ginger go through transformations, making them into murderous creatures. They use their sexuality to gain the trust of their victims. Ginger is a bit more okay with not using it, and Jennifer has always used her sexuality even before the change. Along with that, the protagonists of the stories are the friends adjacent to the actual victims, so we really don't get to hear the internal monologue of the victims in these movies, which is an interesting avenue to take for this kind of story. The protagonist of each movie is more of a social outcast, while the victim ends up becoming more popular. Only in Ginger Snaps, though, does Ginger become more popular in the movie, rather than Jennifer and Jennifer's Body already being popular prior to the attack. The movies also culminate in the protagonist having to kill their friend due to them becoming a monster, and the next similarity is the transformed one kills the closest friend of the protagonist. In Jennifer's Body, it was Needy's boyfriend, and in Ginger Snaps, it was Bridget's friend who was the drug dealer. They also both have scenes of them walking through a hallway after being transformed, looking like absolute baddies, but this could easily be excused because many movies in this time period also did the same shot, much like Mean Girls and Jawbreaker. So it could be a similarity, or it could also be a staple of like teenage cinema in the 2000s. And now here is where we get the similarities behind the scenes. Emily Perkins, the actress for Bridget Fitzgerald, also plays the punk receptionist in Juno 2007, which was written by Diablo Cody, who also went on to write Jennifer's Body. Also guys, fun fact, the movie Another Cinderella Story starring Selena Gomez and Jane Lynch has Emily Perkins and Catherine Isabel, the two actresses for the two twin sisters in this movie, act as sisters in the movie Another Cinderella Story. They were destined to be in these movies. But I only mention all this because if the screenwriter for Jennifer's Body, Diablo Cody, became familiar with Emily Perkins on set for Juno 2007, she could have easily looked through her filmography and discovered Ginger Snaps. Or she could have also known Emily Perkins because of Ginger Snaps and specifically requested her to be in Juno 2007. There just really isn't a world where Diablo Cody isn't familiar with the masterpiece that is Ginger Snaps. But regardless of the two film similarities, I fully believe that they are unique enough that Jennifer's Body shouldn't be accused of ripping off Ginger Snaps at all, because even though there are two very similar movies, they deal with very different metaphors at the core of each movie. Jennifer's Body deals with SA and Ginger Snaps deals with puberty. Two very different concepts, but delivered in a fun monster kind of way. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun making this video. Granted, it is probably one of the longest I've ever spent on a video because these are two very complicated movies that I absolutely love so much, and I didn't want to mess them up by making a bad YouTube video. But thank you so much for watching. My next videos are going to be about 50 Shades of Grey, so keep an eye out for that. But thank you so